Well, let's get more reaction now to Theresa May's environmental promises. Joining us from Westminster is the Shadow Environment Minister, Dr. David Drew. Very good afternoon to you. Firstly, let's get your thoughts on how the speech went. There has been some criticism saying that there isn't enough legal backing to actually put this in place.
Well, that's the problem, that this has been 2 years in the planning, and I've got the photocopy here because it is genuinely a photocopy. They are obviously still working on the details at this moment in time, so we really do need to know how serious is the government about its environmental policies, and at the moment the jury has to be out.
See, this is a subject which is close to many people's hearts, and it's got to be welcome, surely, that she is bringing in measures that hopefully will see change.
Well, it depends on what measures and when. We have to have some really important changes because our environment is declining, whether that's air quality, and the government has been taken to the European Court of Justice on a number of occasions for infraction proceedings because of the failure to deal with air quality. There's lots of problems with the way in which we use our land. We have a debate this afternoon on our forests, but again, lots of promises, but not much detail on how it's going to deliver. So one of the advantages of legislation is it ties government into how it's going to deliver, and it's got real targets. At the moment, this document is full of aspirations, but not really very good on its details.
We've heard Theresa May over the last year or so, she's really focused on Brexit. Do you think this is a way of the party maybe rebranding itself?
Well, Michael Gove's cuddled every Green group under the sun, and they like what he has to say, to be fair. The problem is now we're going to be seeing how they work through the detail, and I really think we need proper debates in Parliament. Dare I say, I'd love to see a legislative programme which includes a proper environmental strategy, which looks at things like climate change, which isn't really getting a lot of mention today. Yes, it's important we look at plastics in the sea. We have to deal with the problem of the fact that China has now told us that it doesn't want our horrible recyclates anymore. We have to deal with those issues, and the only way really to make that effective is to make sure that we have a legislative programme in place, but also government going out there and explaining how it's going to do what it says it wants to do.
This is a 25-year programme. Do you think change needs to come a lot sooner?
Well, of course it does, because we're seeing a degradation of our landscape day by day. There are too many ways in which we see the implications, not just in this country, but across the whole of the world. We need to recognise that climate change is the issue of our time, and therefore we have to, we have to deal with the problem of how we're going to get things in place sooner rather than later. So anything that can deal with what we saw in terms of the Blue Planet series, but also the way in which plastics are a really contagious part of our society, and we have to bear down on that. We can't afford just to kick it into long grass, which I'm afraid this seems to be doing, even though it's very good on its aspirational intentions.
The NHS is also top of the agenda today with these figures released. The Conservative government said that they were prepared and they put a lot of money into it. What more needs to be done, and how can the problem be solved?
Well, it is a resource issue because, of course, we haven't got enough money going into the NHS. Even the government would admit that now. But it's just a shame that, yet again, we've gone through a tragic period in our time in terms of the NHS crisis. The government should have been much better prepared, and quite simply, we cannot afford to go through winter after winter, people on trolleys, people not getting the operations they need, and more particularly the staff on their knees. We have to think of a different way in which we run our NHS.
OK, Dr. David Drew, thanks for your time.
Thank you.